Hello and welcome to the African Regional Conference 2016. I'm James King, the Banker's Africa and Middle East editor, and I'm joined now by Eric Osiakwan, who is managing partner at Chanzo Capital. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today.
The pleasure is mine.
Now, Eric, you've been involved in Africa's high-tech startup scene for many years now, and you've recently argued that a number of countries in Africa are emerging as real leaders in this space. Who are they and why are they so successful?
Well, the concept that I built is sort of something around the Asian tigers. So when Asia emerged in the 20th century, the big concept of the Asian tigers, which was used to describe the highly free and fastest growing economies in Asia. So I have been thinking, now that Africa is emerging in the 21st century, which countries are really leading the digital economy in Africa? And I argue that there are 5 countries, I call them the King's countries. So it's Kenya, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. And these 5 countries represent sub-Saharan Africa. Obviously, Kenya representing East Africa, South Africa represented by South Africa represents Southern Africa, and of course West Africa is very condensed. It's ING, and that ING is the Dutch bank. So I give you an analysis. So the more I look at these 3 countries in West Africa, the more I'm convinced that West Africa is going to be an important market in the 21st century. If you take the population of Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and maybe you throw in Togo and Benin, you almost have the population of the United States, which is about 300 million people. But you're sitting on 1/5 the land mass of the United States. Now contrast that with the fact that Africa is such a huge continent that you can fit Asia, Europe, and China into Africa, right? So West Africa, it's a very unique market. And if you take the fact that technology diffusion is becoming an integral part of that market, and you take the fact that the regionalization of West Africa is becoming more and more strong. I mean, I just drove across the border to Ivory Coast the other day, and I've done that to Nigeria, right? So that's going to make that market a very, very interesting market. And so the King's countries represent the countries that are leading the digital economy in Africa. And by the digital economy, what I really mean is that these are the countries that are using technology to address challenges and create disruption in the existing market. So you take financial services, for example. More money has created so much disruption today and created financial inclusion. If you go to Kenya today, the numbers are 34% of Kenya's GDP is coming from mobile money. That's powerful. If you take other sectors, for example, energy, Mkopa, which is a startup in Kenya, is using solar and mobile money to deliver microgrids. That's very, very powerful. So I think that it's going to be really interesting ways where mobile web technology is going to be, having an impact, for example, on healthcare services. I just backed a company called Bisa App. And Bisa is a very interesting and revolutionary way of delivering health services. So just like an Uber, if you had a health challenge or you're feeling funny, you take out your phone and then you sort of drop a few texts and it goes into a dashboard that is accessible to a team of doctors and then you're able to make your prescription. That's very interesting.
And why are these countries leading the race in terms of the digital economy? What have they done to make themselves so successful?
Right. Well, there are 5 things that we looked at that we think is very common among them. The first, obviously, that these countries are among the fastest growing on the continent, so economic development is very strong. And interestingly, some of them have very sharp contrast. If you take the 5 countries, Kenya and Ivory Coast are the 2 that are less dependent on commodities. So currently, with the commodity crash, you see that Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa are having challenges because of the commodity problem, but Kenya and Ivory Coast are fairly stable, right? When the commodity boom was on, those 3 countries were doing much better, right? So those 5 countries, first of all, have a strong economic base. The second is that they're very pro-innovation. If you take M-Pesa in Kenya, that was a great innovation that had a very strong public policy backing. And before this was prepaid airtime started in South Africa by Vodacom. And if you come to Ghana, I mean, one of the most innovative companies is this company called Sproxio and Mpedigree. And what they've done is that they're taking SMS to authenticate real goods. So for example, if we all know the counterfeit industry in Africa and everywhere else in the world anyway. So now if you go and buy, let's say, a medication, they give you a short code that you can text and say, okay, this is an authentic medication or this is fake. Right? So this is a very simple way where these guys are using SMS to address a very big challenge.
Sure. But one of the big challenges facing many of these new startups and these new tech companies across the continent is the issue of financing. Has this improved or is this getting better for Africa's high-tech startups today?
Well, obviously this is going to take time, right? The financing ecosystem in Africa is not there yet. So I started as an angel, writing early stage small checks, backing companies. You need a whole gamut of funding cycle to be able to get this to work. I mean, if you take Silicon Valley, there people write first check, people do Series A, Series B, Series F, and you have to go all the way before they go to exit, right? So I don't think we are there yet, but I think we are making good strides. So my fund, for example, what we focus on is follow-on investing in startups that have got their first funding that are ready to take off. We call them scale-ups, right? So we find the best startups who are ready to scale, and then we invest in them. I think that when you go to the top of the financing ecosystem, all the private equity funds are raising a lot of money. I mean, to their Brad is raising almost $1 billion, getting $2 billion. Helios raised a lot of money. There's all these big private equity funds up here who are raising a lot of capital, which is good. It needs to trickle down, right? So I think with time, we're going to see the financing ecosystem getting better. But also, we're seeing quite a bit of interest in innovation, even in the financing ecosystem. We are part of something called Convergence, which was supported by the Canadian government. And Convergence is trying to champion what they call blended financing, where the concept is that you need a blend of public-private capital in order to be able to enable companies. So for example, certain companies at R&D level need public money to be able to get through R&D and be able to iterate and get it right. And then when they get it right, they need private capital to be able to build a business.
Okay, so it's improving, but it will take a bit longer. Eric, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure's mine.